Have you ever had that feeling that something just doesn't add up? Like the world is running on autopilot and you're just a piece in a game you never chose to play? Well, maybe you're not being paranoid. Scientists from universities like Harvard, Oxford, and Columbia have calculated that there's a 50% chance, that's right, half, that everything around you is a computer simulation. Your thoughts, your memories, even this video you're watching right now. And we're not talking about conspiracy theory. We're talking about pure mathematics, quantum physics, and applied astrophysics by some of the brightest minds on the planet. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover why Elon Musk said the odds of us living in base reality are billions to one. You'll learn about the experiment that could prove once and for all whether we're, and most importantly, you'll understand what this means for every single choice you make. Get ready, because your worldview will never be the same again. Before you close this video thinking it's just another philosophical trip, let me tell you how it all started. 2003. University of Oxford. A philosopher named Nick Bostrom is sitting in his office when he formulates a question that would change everything. If it's possible to simulate consciousness, how many simulated versions would exist compared to the original? And then he presented us with three possibilities. Just three. And all of them are disturbing. First, humanity will go extinct before creating perfect simulation. Nuclear war, climate change, asteroid impact, anything that prevents us from getting there. Second, we'll develop this incredible technology, but for ethical or practical reasons, we simply choose not to use it. Third, we've already developed this capability, and you, me, all of us are inside a simulation right this very moment. Here's where it gets interesting. If other civilizations have already done this before us, if there are millions, maybe billions of simulated universes running simultaneously, what's the mathematical chance that you're in the original universe? It's like there were 10 million identical lotteries happening at the same time, and you won in one of them. Technically, you could have won in the original lottery, but statistically, the odds are astronomical that you're in one of the copies. But that was just the theory. In 2020, scientists started doing the math, and that's when things got serious. Really serious. Sean Barron was the first. He applied rigorous statistical analysis and arrived at a 33% probability, 1 in 3, that we're in a simulation. But it was David Kipping, astrophysicist at Columbia, who took everything to the next level. He used something called Bayes' principle of indifference. Basically, when you don't have privileged information about something, each possibility carries equal weight. Imagine you're in a dark room with 3 doors. Behind one is base reality, behind the other 2 are simulations. Without additional information, each door has a 33.3% chance. But what if I told you that advanced civilizations tend to create many simulations? That's when Kipping arrived at the number that changed everything, 50-50. Literally a cosmic coin flip about whether your reality is real. When Elon Musk heard this, he went even further. At a conference in 2016, he said, "The odds that we're in base reality are billions to one." Why? Because if you can create simulations, why create just one? Think about it this way. When we play The Sims, do we create one family or thousands? When we test something on a computer, do we run one simulation or several with different variations? An advanced civilization interested in studying evolution, history, social development, why would they limit themselves to a single simulation when they could run thousands of different scenarios simultaneously? But in 2025, an Italian scientist decided to attack the problem from a completely different angle. April 2025, Franco Vazza, astrophysicist at the University of Bologna, publishes a paper that would change everything. He asked a question that nobody had asked before. Okay, but is it physically possible to simulate our universe? Because up until then, everyone was talking about statistical probabilities, 50%, 33%, billions to one. But nobody had calculated the most basic thing, whether a universal simulation is viable from the standpoint of the laws of physics. And here's Vazza's brilliant insight. Information is physical. There's no data processing without energy expenditure. There's no simulation without concrete material resources. Vazza applied something called the Landauer principle, which basically says that any irreversible computation has a minimum energy cost. Every bit of information processed consumes energy, always. Vazza and his team analyzed 3 scenarios, from the most complex to the simplest. Scenario 1. Simulate the entire observable universe. All galaxies, all stars, all planets, all subatomic particles, everything. Scenario 2. Simulate only our planet Earth. All geological, climatic, biological processes, every atom, every chemical reaction, considering only basic fundamental forces. Scenario 3, an economical simulation of Earth, like a video game. High resolution where people are looking, low resolution everywhere else but still physically consistent. The calculations took months. They considered thermodynamics, quantum mechanics, relativity, information processing, everything. And the result? To simulate Scenario 3, just Earth, forget about the universe, only 1% of Earth's surface in high resolution, you would still need all the energy that our sun will produce during its entire lifetime, just to run for 1 year. We're talking about an amount of energy so absurd that it defies any known physical possibility. But here comes the most brilliant part of the study. Vaza applied the Bekenstein bound, which defines the maximum amount of information that can be stored in a region of space. Imagine you have a sphere the size of Earth. By the laws of physics, there's a maximum limit of information that can exist within that sphere. And guess what? That limit is smaller than the information needed to simulate Earth itself. It's like trying to put an ocean inside a drop of water. Physically impossible. And there's more. All this computation would generate so much heat that it would create a black hole. Literally. The energy concentration required would collapse space-time. The calculations took months to be peer-reviewed. Different teams arrived at the same devastating results. Vaza's conclusion is crystal clear. There's no known physical basis that allows simulating this universe using the laws of physics we know. To simulate our reality, you would need a host universe billions of times larger and more energetic than ours. We're talking about dimensions that transcend anything observable. So, if it's physically impossible to simulate us with known laws of physics, how are we having this conversation? Unless, and here's where things get really disturbing. What if we're being simulated by a universe that operates with laws completely different from a cosmos where information processing happens through principles we can't even imagine? Imagine a video game. Let's call him John. John is super intelligent. He explores every pixel of the game world, maps every texture, analyzes every line of code he can perceive. But no matter how much John studies, he will never discover how the electricity that powers the PlayStation works, the transistors that process the data, or the laws of physics that govern the real world outside the game. Now apply this to us. If we're in a simulation based on physics that transcends atoms, quarks, photons, based on structures that exist outside space-time as we know it, we would be in an absolute cognitive prison. Our particle accelerators, our space telescopes, our most advanced equations, even our mathematics, everything would be part of the simulation. Tools created within the system to study the system itself. It's like trying to lift yourself by pulling your own hair. Theoretically, impossible. But wait, before you have an existential crisis, let me ask you an even more important question. If we discovered tomorrow, with 100% certainty, that we live in a simulation, would that change anything in your life? Think about it. You would still feel pain when you stub your toe on the corner of the table. You would still deeply love the important people in your life. You would still laugh until your belly hurts at that stupid joke from your best friend. You would still cry when you lost someone special. If our consciousness is real, and it is real to us, then our experience is completely authentic, regardless of whether it's running on biological neurons or silicon circuits. It's like asking if the love you feel is less real because it's based on chemical reactions in your brain. The chemistry doesn't diminish the experience, it enables the experience. Actually, if we're in a simulation, that makes every choice more significant, not less. Because it means that someone, some superior intelligence, is watching, is interested in what we do. And what if the simple fact that you're here now, questioning the nature of reality, thinking about these profound questions, is already proof that you're one of the conscious simulated beings who develop sufficient self-awareness? How many video game characters stop to question whether they're real? The question stops being, are we in a simulation, and becomes much more personal and urgent. What kind of story do you want to be told about your life? You know what fascinates me most about this entire discussion? It's that it removes the solid ground of absolute certainties from under our feet, but simultaneously delivers something much greater: the total responsibility to consciously choose our own narrative. If there's a superior observer, an intelligence that monitors the simulation, what kind of story would you like that entity to witness? Something dull, passively following the programmed script, or a unique and authentic trajectory that surprises even the simulator itself? The universe might be real, virtual, a well-constructed illusion, or something completely different that we can't even imagine. But the way you choose to live each day, the relationships you build, the values you defend, the legacy you leave, nobody can simulate. That's your unique signature in the fabric of reality, whatever its fundamental nature might. The greatest simulation of all might just be the belief that we don't have real control over our lives and choices. But you do have that control. You do have that responsibility. And maybe that's the most difficult and liberating secret to accept completely. If this journey made you question not just reality, but your own choices within it, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification. And leave a comment here. After everything you've heard, do you believe we live in a simulation? And more importantly, would this change your choices from now on? I'll read every comment, because regardless of whether we're in a simulation or not, your perspective is unique and valuable. We're all conscious explorers navigating the mysteries of an existence that continues to surprise us, because knowledge is just the beginning.